Okay.
Okay. Hello, everybody. It's Lit Soc Thursday. This is the last one of the year, so make the most of it, everybody. Thank you for watching all over the year, and we're going to wrap things up and go back to January.
Yeah, we are. Anyone know why?
Anybody remember why? What we did in... Was it even December, possibly?
I think we did it in January.
January.
I think we did, yeah.
So we're going to revisit all of those resolutions you made back in January and see how you got on. I mean, some of you, of course, weren't with us in January, but perhaps you, those of you who weren't, could perhaps tell us how you've done this year, reading-wise in general.
Reading-wise, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Before we get to the reading resolutions, I'm going to talk about the Women's Prize, which was announced 2 weeks ago? No, last week.
Last week, yeah.
Last week. And the person who won, Ruth Azeki, the book Form and Emptiness, the Book of Form and Emptiness. And she was shortlisted for the Man Booker with her previous book as well. And this is told partly by a book, partly by a young boy, and partly from the point of view of the young boy's mother. And so this is how it starts. In the beginning, a book must start somewhere. One brave letter must volunteer to go first, laying itself on the line in an act of faith, from which a word takes heart and follows, drawing a second sentence into its wake. From there, a paragraph amasses, and soon a page, and the book is on its way, finding a voice, calling itself into being. A book must start somewhere, and this one starts here. So there's the voice of the book itself. Okay. It's quite challenging. I do not recommend it if you're having a hard time. I really don't. It's for all sorts of reasons, which I won't go into in any big detail, but it is extraordinary, and I think the judges certainly really liked it, and it got a very good accolade from Matt Haig. So I think it was a worthy winner, but you have to be on holiday, I think, and in a really good place before you perhaps attempt it. And as you can see, her name is upside down there, so perhaps that's a clue. The family are having a bit of a hard time because the father has been killed, and it means a great big change in their lives. So Benny is 13, and he loves libraries and he loves books, but things go slightly awry. So I'll just leave it at that. And you want to talk about
so this
Carnegie.
So the Carnegie Medal winner was also announced last week, and this was the winner, October. The shortlist, we got it on the door here, we also got it up there. You see up there all the hot air balloons. I don't know if anyone recognises any of the books there, so obviously all these books were published in the last year. It was a very strong shortlist. We had the Costa. There's some news about the Costa, by the way, as I'm sure you're aware.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. But the Costa Children's winner, The Crossing, was one of them. And then, we've got Punching the Air, which is that was Mr. Rio's favourite one, and that was based on. I don't know if anyone has got Netflix and seen what's it called, When They See Us. That was the story of Yusuf Salam and others who got arrested wrongfully, and that inspired that book there. There's a great variety. Phil Earle, When the Sky Falls, that was a really good one. Cane Warriors, but anyway, I'm not going to go through all of them one by one. This was the winner. Very strong field, and it is a special book. It is a very, very good book. It's sort of very reminiscent of Catherine Rundell, very reminiscent of Kieran Mill Hardgrave, these sort of like very beautifully written, magical settings. The basic premise is October, that's the name of the character, October, and her dad calls it October, and that's why we have this title, October. She has been brought up in the woods by her dad, and one day they find an owl, just after she turns 11, and she nurses the owl back to health, but her dad has an accident, and then she is forced to live with her mum, who she really does not like. And then she has to do things like go to school and live in London, all these horrible things. So things change, but then she gradually finds a way through it. And it ends up being a very, very uplifting. So in contrast to that, obviously she's very angry a lot and she deals with a lot of things, but it ends in a good place, definitively. So feel good in the end. So that was the Carnegie Medal winner. So I alluded to the Costa news.
No, you talk about it.
First of all, you all know what the Costa Prize is, or was. Different categories. There was a best debut novel, a best fiction, a best children's book, best poetry. It's really good because it's not as pretentious as the Booker. It finds a happy middle ground. It's not.
It does.
So Dan Brown's never going to win it, but it's going to be books that you wouldn't have otherwise have heard of, having a spotlight shone on them. And it's been going for about 50 years. It was previously the Whitbread Prize?
The Whitbread,
yes.
Yeah.
But quite suddenly and out of the blue, and very sadly, they have just cancelled it. It is gone. It is no more. They just pulled the plug. And it's really bad because, lots of authors who you wouldn't have otherwise heard of or got any coverage who made a difference.
Poets and children's authors.
Absolutely, yeah.
Quite often won the overall prize, didn't they?
Yes, like the Library, for instance, being a good example of that. And because one of the authors who did win it said that, my book sales skyrocketed. I had hundreds of book sales, and then after I won that, I had thousands of book sales, and so it's really... So we're just hopeful that something else will
pick it up.
Will rise in its place, because it is much missed. So.
Yeah,
and so don't take book prizes for granted. These are two very important book prizes that we just talked about here. So there we go.
So you might want to think about some reading of the Carnegie for the summer, maybe, and
we'll talk about summer reading.
Summer reading, well, of course, will be later on. Yes. So it's back to our resolutions then.
So can anyone remember their resolution? Those of us who did. You can, Lulu. Yeah.
Lulu.
Mine was to read all of your Oxford.
Oh, right. Okay.
Well, come to we'll start with Miss Huntley, seeing as you're in hot seat.
Oh yeah, I'm in the hot seat.
Yes.
Mine was to reread The Hobbit, wasn't it?
Let's have a look, Miss Huntley. Yeah, read more award winners from past years. Reread The Hobbit and a Silmarillion to prepare for the course that you are still doing.
Yes, it's about a month before I go to Oxford to do this course. I've reread The Hobbit. I've reread Lord of the Rings. I haven't yet reread the Silmarillion, and I still haven't read. I've read the non-fiction text I had to read, but I haven't yet read C.S. Lewis's science fiction, which I've also got to read. So I'm almost there with that. Reread more award winners. No, not quite as quite as good as might have been.
Did you manage any?
I cannot remember. I've given up writing my journal, which is really bad news. I should start it again because it's getting difficult to remember. I am reading. I'm trying to read when I get home in the evening, sort of about half an hour before thinking about cooking supper. So I'm reading a bit more.
So how's it going for you? You found it all right? The rereading the Silmarillion?
Well, as I say, I haven't started that yet, but certainly going back to the Lord of the Rings, it was interesting. I said to you, I think I was looking, the figurative language was standing out almost more than the characters. I'm so familiar with the characters now; they're not really going to change. But the way Tolkien actually writes and the tones are really interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, in summary, then. Very well on the Hobbit and Silmarillion front.
Could do better, I think.
Could do better. So, who wants to give Miss Huntley a grade? Let's grade her. B minus, Lou. I think that's fair.
Okay, B minus.
She's giving you the benefit. She could have given you a C plus, but she's giving you a B minus. That's positive marking.
B minus. Yeah. Okay.
There
Fair enough, Lulu.
So.
Right. You in the hot seat.
Yes,
then.
I think so. And Miss Huntley's going to grade you. Who else possibly could? So. Lulu, again, for the benefit of the camera and seeing as you sit in the hot seat, just repeat what your resolution was.
I want to check me. I watched the video back, I watched the playback, and I think I said I was going to read all of Miss Huntley's Oxbridge books.
You did indeed.
And I did. So.
All right, come on, you got to say more than that.
Miss Huntley's been giving me, so for those of you who aren't in sixth form, basically the Oxbridge programme is, if you're looking to apply to Cambridge or Oxford, you get mentors, and they give you all sorts of wonderful things to read around your subject and also help you with your personal statement and UCAS and stuff. Horrible words that you won't need to know until you're 12. But Miss Huntley's been giving me lots of wonderful podcasts and books and documentaries to watch, and I think my favourite item that I've learned about is probably the Lewis chessmen. Not because my best friend is called Lewis and it makes me laugh, but also because they look funny. So, yeah. I don't know what
they look real, don't they?
Yeah.
They look like real people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you enjoy, what were some of the highlights among the Oxbridge books you've read?
My favourite book was called 8 Days of Luke by Diana Wynne-Jones, and it was like Percy Jackson but old, and it was about this boy who meets Loki in in his back garden and has to protect him from, oh my god, what's his name, Mr. Thursday.
Mr. Thursday, yeah.
And it's got all of these like allegories for Norse mythology specifically, and it's so sad because I thought it was a series, so I finished the book really quickly, and then I was like, "Where's the next one?" Miss Honey was like, "There's not one." I was like, "What?"
No.
That's the worst.
Yeah, because it seemed like there was so much.
She'd known how much Norse mythology's come back into the fore. She would have, in fact, how much mythology is now being sort of looked at again. She probably would have done a bit more, but she went off on a different tack.
But there's so much more story. It literally just ended in the middle of the story. I was like, where's the rest of it? But yeah.
So how did you find it then? Was it an easy resolution to?
No, I don't know why I said that. But I
You
enjoyed
dug into
it.
your reserves.
Yeah,
and you got
I
through.
totally remembered that resolution after I said it, and that was what drove me to do it. 100%.
Look at that. That's determination in action.
Yeah.
So what grade, Miss Huntley?
Oh, definitely an A star.
A star.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well done, Lily.
Yeah.
Good efforts. Okay, thank you. Right. Now you see, I've got a lot of the people who are regulars here weren't actually there. So Emily and Evie, you weren't actually there that day. I don't know if did you make any resolutions at all? Or?
I think I made one and I haven't done it yet.
Okay.
Can I leave?
Oh, yes, of course you can. Come on, Evie, tell us a bit more. You can.
So basically, it's really hard to describe, but basically I had this idea in my head because I really like writing, and so I started like writing like my own book, which is basically like a mixture of like all the fairy tales and all the books I've ever read and all the films I've ever watched just combined. So it's basically about this young girl who's living in this very unfair country where these people who believe in a religion based off like nature and peace and serenity are oppressed and basically like mistreated, and like the children of those people are mistreated too. And basically Olivia, the main character, is found out to be the Origin, who is like a hero in the religion that the state, who's like the government, is trying to oppress. And she basically, it sounds very much like Avatar, and I didn't understand that it sounded like Avatar until I actually watched Avatar and The Last Airbender. But basically she has to find all the four elements to like balance out the world. I got that idea from Frozen 2, which is, I don't know why, but Frozen 2 was just, it was the last movie I ever watched in primary school, so it's a lot of memories. And basically it's like, it developed over time. I remember my first idea of it was like, oh, it's this girl and she's like magic and she turns out to be a princess, and I was like, but almost every stereotypical book I've ever read is like the main character ends up being like royalty or something. I was just like, that won't work because I didn't want it to be like that. And so I've changed up the story pretty much like entirely, but like the main basis is there, and it's got like all these different characters, it's got lots of different tribes and like all these different places I have to go. I don't know why, but I made all the different like regions and like cities named after places in the galaxy, because I felt that the way in the book time is based on the moon cycle. So for example, like 1 month is basically a moon cycle, so if someone says like, oh, I'll see you in the next moon cycle, basically means like I'll see you next month. I don't know why, but it just felt like a really like nice way of doing it, because I never read a book like do it that way. And my goal was to finish it, and I haven't. I'm on chapter 12 of 26. So
You got an outline then.
Yes.
Yeah, you're doing very well.
I've
It's
got.
really good though. I've read it.
You've read like.
I read the first draft.
You read the first draft, and then the one I
bit of the most recent
improved.
draft.
Yeah, it's like.
And we like Oprah, which is Olivia's sister. But I felt really sorry for Oprah because Olivia was the Origin, which is, I felt sorry for Oprah.
You'll see. But basically, one thing I really like adding in is having this voice within the book. So the book is written in the third person, but basically every now and then there'll be like this voice in the book, and I'm not going to reveal who it is until the end because it's special. But basically, like, I don't know how to describe it, but basically, one character, I'm trying to think of an example that doesn't like give anything away, but basically, she, like, okay, so for example, like, Olivia's, like, she found out she's the Origin, but basically she's found out there's a catch, so she has to do, like, potentially, like, fatal tasks to, like, find the elements. And she's, like, really upset because obviously she doesn't want to die. And then, like, there's this voice that goes, like, oh, I'll see you very soon, Olivia. But it has, like, it's just out of the blue, no context, and that voice just keeps, like, popping in every now and then to kind of, like, comment on what's happening. I don't know why, but I just felt that something about just having a voice that's just randomly coming in and out, telling their opinion is just really fascinating to me.
Well, it's your story.
It's I don't know why.
You write for yourself first.
Yes.
You know, so, you know,
Yeah.
start with what you want that appeals to you.
I think it's just like, because I wanted to write something that like, things that I've never read before in a book that I've read in my life. There are probably books like it, but
Absolutely.
like, yeah, that's pretty much it.
It's a very ambitious goal you set yourself to.
Yes.
It's good
We'll
because
see how it
not only are
goes.
you writing a book, which is hard anyway, it's a lot of
Yeah.
hard work. You're writing high fantasy, you know, and that involves a lot of world building.
Yeah.
So you really
it's-
should give yourself a bit more slack.
I mean,
think.
to be fair, I have drawn a map of everything,
Wow.
so we'll see.
It's up to you how much more you share in the future, but you know,
Yeah,
well,
we'll
Emily
see.
sounds like she knows quite a bit already.
Yeah, she's. I read it. I read it to her maybe 3 times because I need to have someone read it to at least make it to see if it
I
makes
added
sense.
some comments here and there.
Yes,
Excellent.
you did.
She's your editor.
You did. Yeah, I mean, I think I started.
Yes, absolutely.
I remember the date very clearly. I started October 11th. And so we will see if when I get to October 11th this year, we'll see. I want to see how far I get because I had
We're
a.
not even a year in there, no?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like just over 9 months.
I just
So-
wanted to like. I just want to set myself a goal. I realise it's kind of a little bit ambitious,
Yes,
but we'll
it's
see.
It's a
We'll
good
see,
goal.
Yeah.
It's a good goal.
Everything else you're doing, so.
Exactly.
pretty-
It's not as if that's the only thing you're doing.
That's-
You've got loads of
I
other things
mean,
on.
I'm. Yes, that's pretty much it.
No, well done. Seriously, well done. Yeah,
Thank you.
good stuff.
Who
All
else?
right, yeah.
Star, honestly.
A star, Eleanor.
I've got a similar goal.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you
Oh,
could come in
yeah.
next, actually.
Yeah.
So, Eleanor, come join us because you may remember.
I haven't done any of it.
Well, I'm going. Can you remember the
Yes.
place? So, do you want to tell us? Do you want us to remind us what it was?
Was it that I wanted to finish?
No,
Well, I wanted to continue
add at
writing.
least 3 more chapters.
I wanted to write at least 3 more chapters of.
to the book I'm writing, and then do loads of research. Or not loads.
Yeah.
You just said research. I just got it written down here. Research too.
Yeah, because it's basically I was in a bit of a mood because something happened, and I was like, you know what, this is an issue that needs to be spoken about more, which is true. I'm gonna write a book about it and make it really touching to people, and then stuff. And then I just didn't write it, and it's a shame because I really liked the characters I made, and I was really excited for it. But also, I just like. I'm really, really, really bad at committing to things, and it's a lot of hard work that I just don't think I'm ready for. I read the chapters I did write to Hannah. She doesn't remember them though.
Is that right, Hannah?
She's not committing to anything.
So I think it was okay, but the issue is that I sort of have to write. Well, the issue is it's written in. There's 4 of the main characters are in relationships because that's the whole point of the story, and I'm 13, so I mean I don't have much experience in that, and I don't really know how to write it. I'm good at writing personal experiences and good at writing things I know, and that's why I wanted to do research so I could have facts written down. So it's just sort of one of those genres I can't really write. Well, I can write it.
It will come.
Yeah, like. One day I'll have enough experience to write about it, but at the moment I don't. So yeah, there's not much to speak about because I've done nothing. But
No, you not exactly
about
because
it,
it's
clearly. You've
exactly
thought
exactly.
about
You've
it,
reflected on it, and it's a big
exactly.
part of it. And sometimes these things do take time.
Yeah.
But yeah, just keep it alive. Keep it on the back
Yeah.
burner. Yeah, don't give up on it.
Yeah, don't.
It's the most important thing.
Always be there.
Because as you say, that issue is important to you, so it probably is to others as well.
And I can also say that Ellen's done a lot of reading as well, as conversation.
Yeah.
What's the book that Ellen's been going on and on about this year, everyone?
No, that's listen. That's not even my favorite book. It's not
It's
even
not,
my
it's not
favorite book.
Heartstopper, it's another one.
Yeah, exactly. Why does everyone?
Red, White,
Why
and
does
Royal Blue.
every time that someone says, "What's your favorite book?" everyone expects me to say Heartstopper? No, I really, really love the series, and I've been talking a lot because I've been promoting the TV series.
Have you seen the character, the actors that play Red, White, and Royal Blue?
Yes, I have.
And so,
Yes, there's a film
good or
being
bad?
shot right at the moment in London.
Who are the
Red, White, and Royal
actors?
Blue. Well, one of them, the guy who plays Alex, is known for being in, I think, The Kissing Booth 3.
The elderly among us around the table have no idea who you're talking about.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I don't know.
Not even the first one.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't watched it, so I don't know.
All right.
Pardon?
And
Yeah, he is in
Is
it.
he American?
Yes.
Aren't the characters well?
One of them's British, isn't it? Right.
No, the point is that Alex is the first son of America. And he's half Mexican. Is it Mexican? I don't know. He's Latino.
Oh, look at this.
But, and Henry is being played by a British guy. He was in, again, it's a really unknown film, but Handsome Devil.
I know
Yeah,
That's a rugby
he
one,
plays.
It's really, I think you're the most down
Yeah.
with the kids.
He plays.
Boarding school shit.
Yeah, with the rugby and stuff. He plays the guy who is the new rugby player. You know, the brown-haired one, and and who has all the pressure on him. But
Really cool
he's
about that.
and he's dyed his hair blonde for it. So yeah, it looks really good. I've seen all the stuff.
Thank you, Eleanor. Right, there's only one person. Well, there's me as well, I suppose. But Miss Rio, you're the only other person who actually made a pledge. So you're up next.
I made a pledge, but I don't remember what
I haven't got it written down. Are you sure you did?
It's
You did.
I did, but I don't remember what it is.
I haven't got it written down here. Maybe you did another Lit Soc.
Maybe you did. Oh.
Did you have one? Oh, sorry, I didn't see it. Day, sorry, Day, I didn't realise you were here. Sorry, I
She's
didn't see
sneaking
you.
behind there.
Right, you go after Miss Rio.
You can go
okay?
after me.
This is not mine. I don't know.
You hiding in the
A
corner.
guinea pig. Not a real guinea pig.
Why do someone knows it's a guinea pig? Everyone thinks it's a rat or a hamster.
Oh.
It looks like a guinea pig.
It's a guinea pig.
What part of that looks like a rat or mouse?
No, it doesn't. No rat or mouse looks like that.
No.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks nothing like
We've
that.
got mine
Looks
at
like
my
a
house
guinea
right now.
I was like,
Oh gosh.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
I love it. I feel like if I turned around to look back, it just
As we get hijacked by a fluffy object.
Right, Miss Rio, over
Right,
to you.
yeah. We were chatting about a guinea pig.
you have my
Mine was to read
More
translation.
translation books and Japanese books.
Oh,
in particular.
yes.
Well, I did. All I did was read Japanese translation books.
Can't fail that approach.
And I really like them all. I read a few. I read Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I don't know if anyone's heard of that one.
Oh, no, I don't think we're doing anything.
It's quite big. It's about a special seat in a cafe where you go there and they give you a specific cup of coffee, and as you sit in that seat, you can talk to someone. You can sort of travel back in time, but you only have as long as until the coffee gets cold.
Oh.
So you only sort of get
That's interesting.
2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It was really cute. It was kind of a set of short stories all set in the same cafe, but that one was really good. I read, this is one that's definitely not for younger readers, Cursed Bunny by Bora Chung, which was on the International Booker.
Oh, okay.
It
all
was
right.
good. It was, oh my gosh, it was a lot. Again, like this one, only reading.
Go to dark places.
Okay.
It was
Right.
very, very horror kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, Korean horror. That's all I
Yeah,
need to
yeah,
say.
yeah, okay.
There was a lot going on,
The
but it
Koreans
was
are
really,
renowned for that,
it was very
aren't
good.
they,
It was a
as
short
well,
story
Yes, they are now.
collection.
Yes.
But
Mhm.
if you like that kind of thing, I'm currently reading this one, The Cat Who Saved Books, which is
Yeah.
about a little bookshop in
Yes, I like
That one I
Japan. Oh, have you read it?
Yes.
Oh. Yeah, it's, yeah, look, a little bookmark. It's, it's so cute. But it's a boy that is looking after his grandfather's bookshop in Japan, and a cat comes in and tells him that he has to save some books from prison.
Yes, it's,
And then it goes on from there.
it's quite bleak, doesn't it? It's very
Yeah,
bleak,
I'm
and then
only
it turns a corner.
chapter 1, I think, but it's
Yeah.
the
No, it's,
talking cat is a funny
It's a
one.
very interesting concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I read another one. I read Clara and the Sun, which I don't know if that counts
Oh,
as a
yeah.
Japanese translation or
No.
not.
No.
No? Is it not?
No,
Wasn't
No,
it written
he
in,
writes in English.
didn't he write it in Japanese first?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay. Well, it's a Japanese author. Didn't really like that. Moving on. I have another one at home called The Memory Police that I need to read, which sounds really interesting. And basically, it's on a small coastal island just off of Japan, but there's these people called the Memory Police that control what people remember. So think of, I don't know, birds, or like, here it says hats or something like that. If the Memory Police suddenly decide that they don't want people to remember it, nobody on the island will remember. And it's gone out of existence. Don't know what else is going to happen in the story, but it's an interesting premise. But yeah, I read quite a few.
You did.
And I had a good time. They're all very, very short. They're probably, most of them are not much
Yeah.
longer than this.
Yeah.
But I think it's because I feel like Japanese people don't mince their words. Like, they use a small amount of words and you don't need any more than that. You know, you can say a lot in a little, and that's what I like about them. You know, it's all very to the point. You'll
There's
say
that
what you mean.
stereotype that they like to miniaturise things, the Japanese.
Yeah,
That's like
so-
the ones kind of those sleeping pods, you know?
Oh
They're
yeah,
from
the
Japan.
tiny ones, yeah.
So, as an
Yeah.
example.
Yeah,
Read
but
Convenience Store Woman.
no, I need to read that. Have you read it?
Yeah.
Is it good?
No,
Oh, you don't
We-
recommend
Don't
it?
like it.
We got it on
I've
the
heard
shelf.
a lot
and-
about it.
I didn't like it, but it doesn't mean
Didn't
it's
like
not
it.
good. That's
Mm.
one. But like, if you read out,
Okay, I think the author has another book out, right? Earthlings?
Yeah.
Is that her other one? Apparently that's really bizarre
it's
and quite dark. Have you read
they're
that
all
too?
bizarre, but that's not the reason why I didn't like it.
Okay, well, I'll read it and we can talk about it.
There are also, aren't there, a lot of cat stories, which
A lot of, yeah, I have 3 or 4 of different cat stories. This is one of them. But yeah, if you need like a really easy, sweet, short read that's kind of a lot about morality and about family and I don't know, relationship,
Wrapped
but
up in
not.
a crazy, unusual package.
Yeah, and often there's like a sort of slightly sci-fi
Hmm.
tilt to it, but it's not the main point of the book. It's a really interesting kind of thing that I've noticed throughout all of the translation books I've read. They're all very similar but very different. But yeah,
Okay.
recommend picking something up if you haven't before.
Thank you, Miss Rhea. I think you passed with
It's all
flying
right.
colours, I think it's fair to say. So well done.
Thank you.
Good job. Good, sensible pledge there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right, Dave. So,
Dave's next.
yes, you were there that day too. So, if you want to
They just want these big.
jump to the hot seat, yeah, she might have to exit
Actually.
soon because she's got to go to your 10 parents
Yeah, I
evening.
need to get 5 as well.
And you just go, well, yeah, I think we should be done by then.
I can't remember mine.
You can't remember what you said. Okay, well, Daya, your pledge was to read at least a few chapters a night, as often as possible with your mum.
Well, I didn't read my mum, but I did read. I have been reading at least 100 pages one night. So more than
100
a time.
pages a night?
Yeah.
Oh, every night?
No, not every night, but like once or twice. Yeah,
At most. I mean, so that equates to what, a couple of 100 pages a week?
yeah.
So, I mean, how many weeks have we had? Probably 20-something.
Yeah.
20-ish, because it's 52 weeks in a year. We're coming up to halfway through the year. I reckon about 20.
I did get caught up with one book during our exams, Cell 7.
Okay.
It's about basically a girl who, like, everyone thinks that she's shot one of the most famous people in the town, but she hasn't, and it's all about looking at her story and seeing how she did it, and like did she actually even kill him? So
Okay.
yeah,
So you reading that after exams, during exam week?
I was reading it during exam weeks, and then like once you'd like finish your test and you had to read, I just
Yeah.
like read that book over and over again.
Well, of course, you all had to have a book under your table. I'm sure you all chose wisely, yes, for the book under your table.
The sequel to Red Queen.
Oh, yeah, I can't remember what that's called, I know. Victoria Aveyard.
Really.
There's somewhere Victoria Aveyard, yeah.
Yeah, I got into pickle during one of the exams because I finished my book, but it was a really sad book, And like normally when books are really sad, I start crying, and I had to hold it in really badly because it was at the end of the book, and people were all writing, and I was just like.
What I did, I think I destroyed my pencil case. I mean, I was, because it was in that kind of like period of like you'd finish your exam, the actual exam time hadn't finished, so you couldn't really do anything, and also like when the extra time people were like
you have to stay quiet and everything.
and like sometimes I was kind of, I'd used up all my brain power to do the exam, so I was just like, oh god, I can't even, I don't even want to like just focus on one thing, and so I played noughts and crosses with myself on my pencil case.
I do that too. I once said to someone,
There we go.
Oh my god.
Wow.
literally, I play noughts and crosses with myself when I'm really bored.
Yeah.
And I once said that to someone, and they thought I was like really weird for doing it, but it's like, it's a fun game.
It's actually good.
It's
Find your
really
own,
fun.
you can find your own strategies to win the game.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, and also throughout the year I've been like colouring all the squares, but I basically did the whole thing during exam week. And yeah, like a couple
Noughts
of
and
times.
crosses masterclass.
Yeah, I had a flower drawing obsession as well as reading. Yeah, and I found little pieces of paper and I started drawing flowers.
The things that exams do to you, eh?
Yeah.
All right, on the subject of noughts and crosses, you all know noughts and crosses of Mary Blackman, right? Yeah. Bit of trivia. Does anyone know why she decided to call that book Noughts and Crosses?
Because it's like, I don't, it's just, I don't, it's probably not right, but like the pieces are like black and white, so like noughts or white and
I can see why you're saying
Like
that, but
the
that's
actual
not
game.
that's not the reason she gave as to. She said it's a game that no one wins generally because you if you follow a conventional tactics, then no one wins,
that makes sense.
and so the idea is no one wins in this world of noughts and crosses.
That makes
So
sense,
there you go.
because when I was
Trivia.
playing on my pencil case, I'd make one win. I would like force one to kind of make the wrong move. But when I'm actually playing it how I would play it, I was just like, no one wins. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Now, yeah, see, this is it. The more sophisticated your tactics, the more you realise that. There you go, Daya. Thank you. You prompted an interesting discussion. Right, so I think that's everyone who was actually there on a day. So we're going to go around. Sienna, are you keen to go? You need to get going soon.
No, I just got me to say.
Okay.
Well, why don't you come and then you can then tell us about your reading year so far.
So I don't actually remember if I was there or not. If I did, I didn't write it down. But I did think about it. I think my goal was to read 2 of the books that I was planning to do for my coursework. I started both of them, decided I didn't want to do it. Now I'm doing 2 completely different books that I have both started and not finished. So that's 4 books. I was meant to try and read at least 1 fully, so I've kind of failed my resolution successfully.
I succeeded in failing.
Yes.
All right.
Another like little resolution I had was try and read things that were longer than expected, and I didn't read any physical books, but I did read quite a lot of fan fictions, and I found some series of like fantasy type stories, original works, and some of them were like quite long, like over 120,000 words, like multiple times, and sometimes I would just binge it, and my record is 1 in a day, and for reference, 120,000 word book is around this thick, about
probably about 700 pages of this, right?
Yeah, probably.
Is it really?
It's around Order of the Phoenix length.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was reaction, isn't it? Okay.
So then,
Okay, good.
so
Good.
I'd like read a few of them like in a few days or under a week. So I read more, just less physical
Oh,
books.
well, yeah. You read a lot,
Yeah,
I think it's fair to say. So,
yeah, that was my resolution.
okay, good. Well done. I mean, because obviously, yeah, I haven't got a pledge written down, so I don't think you were there. Right. Okay. Eleanor Inch, would you like to tell us? Yeah, look, you weren't there. Just tell us how your reading year's gone so far, in general. What you're doing is telling us what you read, even if it's not much.
I'm going to be honest with you, starting this year, one of my resolutions was to read more because I had kind of fallen into a post-pandemic reading slump. I wasn't reading anything really good at all, and yeah, just wasn't reading much whatsoever. That was continuing through up until about March this year, and then I started reading some of my old favourites, and now I'm reading a lot more.
Great. See, that's inspirational. See, because yeah, it's easy to get into a reading slump, and yeah, so that's one way to get back into it, isn't it? To return. So what was the first old favourite you returned to? Can you remember?
I have talked about it here before. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, one of my favourites. So just
there we go. So what was it? I mean, you might not be able to put your finger on it, but you know, what sort of was it about that got you back into the reading groove? Might be a difficult question to answer.
Quite difficult, yeah. Just kind of the familiarity of that book. Just kind of loving all the characters, and just the incredible writing just kind of sucked me into that world. And then before I knew it, I had finished that series and just hungry for more books. So
brilliant. Okay, great. So, and now you're back. So, what's the most recent book you've read then?
Invisible Life of Addie LaRue.
Anyone else read that one? That's quite a well-known one.
I think I started that one, and it was a bit long for me, but I need to pick it back up.
Yes.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, read it in a night.
Really?
So.
Wow. Yeah, a lot of people. It's very beloved. Her other book's really good too. The author.
I will check it out. Yeah.
Brilliant. All right. Well done, Ella. Good stuff. There's a good story of bouncing back there.
Yeah.
Emily, how's this year gone? Let's hear from you next.
Well, actually, I started off really badly this year. I didn't actually do any resolutions at the start of the year because I never really do resolutions because I know I can't keep them. I just do like middle of year resolutions and like I'm going to try and do this and then see if I can do it. But I never really set myself something at the start of the year because I remember it was New Year's and I was just trying to get to sleep really. And the neighbours, because we were in Italy, upstairs, people were just having like a party, and the roof, like the walls, like really thin, and like for the whole night we could just hear banging, and I just forgot it was New Year's. It was just like I just really wanted to go to sleep and just do my own things. But I did read a bit. I tried to do the reading challenge, but I started the reading challenge in February because I only knew about it in February because I wasn't here for most of January.
When we launched it, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I thought I was going to be able to do it, but I kind of went into a reading slump and I wasn't able to do it. But by doing it, I did read quite a lot of really good books. Like, I remember I finished history, I finished multicultural, and I finished Friendship and Love, I think it was.
You've done more than most then, I would say.
Yeah, but I didn't write the recommendations. I wrote a few recommendations.
You got until next Monday to do that.
Yeah.
So time isn't up yet. Yeah. Just write your review.
Yeah.
Short review on Access It.
Read it, then review it. Yeah.
Then we know. That's all you got to do.
So I read a lot of them when I was out for 4 weeks at Easter. Like every night I would read some of my books. So I read Suit Movement in that time, Skylark's War, and 5 Children on the Western Front when I was out there. And I read a few more throughout the year. But I've got really into watching BookTube and BookTok as well. And I follow this guy, Jack Edwards, and I watch his videos, and I think he did 100 books in a year. And I really want to do that. I can't wait till next year. So I did start on May 28th, but technically I moved it to June 1st, because that's a bit more
June 1st to June 1st.
Yeah, so I'm now doing June 1st from this year to June 1st next year. That's kind of a New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
It's a June New Year.
Well, it's reading across the year, definitely.
Yeah, and I'm doing 100 books, and I've separated each month into 8-9 books each month. And I'm not doing actually too badly, because I've actually set myself that goal, and I have on my laptop I put the books I want to read, when I'm going to read them, what order. And Jack Edwards, he said he gave some tips, and he was like, if you don't like a book, don't finish reading it, because if you read quite a few chapters and it's not for you, there's not really I can't not finish a book. Like, I have to finish the book. But when he said that, I was like, that's quite good, because I don't want to get stuck on a book and hold up all my other books. So I started 2 books. I can't remember which they were, but I didn't finish them. But I've read so far. I also started reading Marvel comics, so that was good. And they're part of my reading thing, because they're technically books.
Yeah, of course they are.
Yeah. I've read I read my Hawkeye one. I've read I read The Island at the End of Everything. I
Okay.
think that was in June. Wait, no, I read
That's
Punching
Hargrave.
the Air, Hawkeye.
Punching the Air. Yep.
I remember the cover. The cover was, I'll remember it.
Okay.
And I'm reading Boys Don't Cry at the moment.
Yes.
And
Mary Blackman, who we just mentioned.
Yeah, and it's so good that I started on Tuesday, and I read 100 pages Tuesday, 100 yesterday. I'm going to finish it today, and I'm going to go on to my next few books. And I really, BookTok could talk about like these different books right now, but they're the exact same books that they're rambling on and on about, and I really want to know if they're actually good. So, The Love Hypothesis, It Ends with Us. My friend recommended me 6 of Crows.
Leave it go, yep.
7 Husbands or something.
Of Evelyn Hugo.
Yeah, that one. And there was a few more.
You have so many on the go here. It's great. It's brilliant.
And I have a TBR, but the problem is I need to read 100 books. And I've written so many books, but they're only 63. So I need to find some more books to read. But now I've just I've realised the length of like how many books 100 books actually is.
I think you're going to manage, Sam. Something tells me, yeah, we've got many to choose from here.
Yeah.
So this June Student Pledge, I'm going to make a bold prediction. I think you're going to do it.
I think you will.
I think knowing you will be able to.
You seem determined.
And I have, on the last day, we're going to Italy for a week of holiday. And we have to get the ferry to France and a 10-hour ferry from France to Italy. And then a really long drive again. We're going to go in our motorhome. And I'm going to have lots of books to read.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm going to read a lot in the summer holidays.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's a good
I'm
time
sure
to
you
do
will.
it.
All right. Well, thank you, Emily. Well done. Good stuff. Good stuff. Hannah, did you want to? No? Okay. Pen? Ooh, 2 books.
Couldn't decide. They're both awesome. So.
Okay.
So my reading so far, this is my first job in a school with access to this library, so I was very excited about that. So over the Easter holidays I crept in and I've been taking the Jacqueline Wilson books off the shelf because that's very nostalgic for me. I was a huge fan and she was my favourite author when I was at school. So when I got here I saw that she had, I can't remember the title of it, but there was a new Tracy Beaker
Yes.
one, if I'm right. Really?
Danny Harmer, is it?
Yeah, she's really nice.
Yeah, she seems like a nice person on TV.
Yep.
Really? Oh wow.
Have you seen the TV show of My Name Tracy Beaker?
Little bits of it, yeah,
It's really
little
good.
bits.
I'm waiting for the second series when they do the Beaker Girls series.
Yeah.
I think
So
really hard. No, I must look.
was it on BBC? I
It's on
think.
BBC.
BBC.
It's on like CBBC or something, but it's really good.
Yeah, it would be because it's on the same like universe of
It's same university, yeah, same actors.
I was so excited when I saw that one, and Tracy Beaker would roughly be my age, so we have grown up together, which is always lovely. Me and Harry Potter as well. Same, roughly. Well, Harry Potter's a bit older than me actually, but so I've grown up with them. So that was really lovely to catch up on that reading. My sort of unofficial pledge was to read a bit more non-fiction, just to broaden my horizons a little bit, and I really identified with what Eleanor said, I think, about the reading slump, because I thought I need to just change it a little bit. So I haven't quite finished these, but I've got 2 books that I'm on the go, and what is nice with the historical books is you can dip in and out of them. You don't need to stay with it. You can just open it at a page and see what's interesting. So I also really enjoy Philippa Gregory as well, and I was lucky enough to meet her one time, which was the best experience ever. I was so starstruck, I didn't know what to say to her, so I was just like, please sign my book, that's fine. So the first one I've got that I can talk a little bit about is Mary Tudor, The First Queen by Linda Porter. Mary Tudor, really, really big character in history, and her biography is fascinating, and she's one of the people that's often quite vilified throughout history. And Porter is one of the first authors really that talks about her as a human being, so that's quite interesting to read. My favourite fact really that I discovered reading was the closeness between her and her sister Elizabeth. So these are Henry VIII's children, to put it in context, and it was really, really interesting to read about her relationship with Elizabeth, because they're always portrayed as fighting with each other, but when they were growing up they were quite unified by the all the concern about the succession, because Henry VIII was moving a little bit mad with the succession, but she did eventually go on to become queen, and it's really, really fascinating to read. Just seeing, so Porter describes her and says that she remains the most hated and least understood monarch in the English history. So do her justice and have a read of her biography, because she's fascinating really to read. And then the second one, which was my unofficial Christmas gift to myself, is A Short History of England, Simon Jenkins. For me, if the book is... Sometimes I can feel a bit daunted if the book is too large, but as you can see it's quite a slim book, and he gives you a really good overview of the English history. And on the front it's described as a gallop through English history, which I thoroughly agree with. I've not quite finished reading it, but he starts from the very beginning all the way up to quite recent history as well. So I think he does talk about Churchill, so it's fairly recent that he comes up to. And on the back it just says that he sheds light on all key individuals and events, bringing them together. History was my favourite subject at school, but what I did find confusing is you learn about history in sections, and he gives you a chronological overview. So that's really helpful of when you have to sort of think about who came first, Victorians, Romans and Tudors and all this. He puts it into a really user-friendly order. And I'd say it's quite accessible. He's very detailed, but he's actually quite funny, and he tells you the interesting bits of history. So again, really well worth a read, and that's Simon Jenkins is the author.
History is very much your thing.
It is, yeah.
Historical fiction, you mentioned. Any other historical or history fans? Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So you're definitely among friends here.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, no, it's well worth a read. And on the back it's described immediately accessible, which I completely agree, and full of lively anecdotes and food for thought. And then lastly, traditional kings and all things history with dates and famous quotations in place. It's jolly good. And there we go. If I've not sold it to you, then there we go.
All right.
Lovely.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, I'll just wrap up then. No, I won't take long. So I was a bit silly. I made a couple too many pledges, but I did all right. I did very well. So I said I would read the Carnegie Mail shortlist, and I did. I said I would read 3 books a month. I smashed it. According to Goodreads, I've read 22 this year, so that's just over 4 a month on average. There you go. And I also said I'd read I've got 10 books sitting on my shelf that I've been neglecting, and I have read 4 of those. So, okay, I might not have met that one yet, but I've still got half the year to do it. And my favourite one of all of those was Station 11. Has anyone heard of Station 11? Emily St. John Mandel. It was adapted into a TV series towards the end of last year. Basically, it was written back in 2015. It anticipated COVID. It's a more aggressive form of COVID. It wipes out almost the whole planet. It's only 1% of the population that survives. And it's about how they do it, how they survive. But it's centred around 4 or 5 interrelated... It's like the 6 degrees of separation theory. Centred around 4 or 5 different characters. Starts off with a guy collapsing on stage, performing in New York, and then it's all the people who are related to him in different ways.
6 degrees of separation.
6, yeah, you know how it is. You know, anyone can be.
I thought it was 6 or 7.
6 degrees. The idea is you can use 5 other people to link any 2 people in the world.
Yeah, like you're only ever 6 connections away.
Exactly. So it uses that. I mean, it doesn't explicitly state that, but you know, all of these diverse people living all over in this post-apocalyptic world, and it jumps back and forth, and it's just brilliant. It's the best book I've read so far this year. So, and we have it on the shelf, and it was, like I said, it was adapted into a TV series towards the end of last year. Hopefully it'll make its way to Netflix at some point. Watch it. And, of course, do read it, because we've got it on the shelf as well. So there you go. So I did all right, if I may say so myself. Right, so sadly, that's the end of Litsoc for the school year. I know. So the best thing we can do, of course, is summer holidays are coming out. We've got less than 2 weeks left now, haven't we? So as always, just to give you a heads up, I'm sure you all know this, but the first Litsoc back in September will be what I read on my holidays. So I'm sure you've all got lots of summer reading plans. Yes? So that will be our first Litsoc when we come back. So until then, everyone, have a great summer. Do lots of reading, have a good time, get lots of downtime. It's been a very busy year, of course. So get lots of downtime, recharge your batteries, and we'll see you in September. So should we all give the camera one last wave? Goodbye. Bye, everyone. Bye.